Welcome back, Anime Stark fans. Today, we're diving into an exciting one-shot story that's sure to tug at your heartstrings. Get ready to immerse yourself in the world of the new companion, featuring the beloved characters, Deku and Nejire. So, grab your favorite snack, find a cozy spot, and let's embark on this thrilling journey together. I wake up feeling tired, nestled under my warm blanket. I stretch my hand to turn off the annoying alarm that's pulled me out of my comfort. Nothing in life is perfect, I mumble sleepily. I've had a late night fighting villains, as usual. Being a hero is not easy. Yagi-san, my mentor, made sure to teach me that from the moment I became his disciple. I get out of bed, rubbing my eyes to chase away the fatigue. I head to the bathroom, splash water on my face to wake up after barely getting 5 hours of sleep following a long day of work. After brushing my teeth, I return to my room to tidy up and get dressed for my morning exercises at 5 a.m. Once I finish my routine, I head to the shower to freshen up and wash away the sweat and grime. 10 minutes later, I step out of the bathroom with black underwear and a white towel wrapped around my head. I head back to my room to check my phone for messages. Emma, I need you to come to my office today for an important update. Please refrain from patrolling until we talk. I furrow my brow, puzzled by the message. Emma, the head of the hero agency I work for, has never asked me to halt patrolling before. I hope it's not bad news. Nonetheless, I sigh and leave my phone on my bed. I head to the kitchen to prepare breakfast, which consists of pancakes with honey and orange juice. I take my time, as it's only 6 a.m. When I finish eating, I clean my dishes and put them away. I return to my room to dress in simple clothes, black sneakers, blue jeans, a white hoodie, a green cap, and sunglasses. I can't afford to reveal my identity casually due to the chaos it causes when I'm recognized in public. I grab my keys and phone, then leave my modest apartment. It's simple but comfortable, and that's all I need. Kachan, the number 2 hero, bought a luxurious house with his earnings, and Kaminari, Mina, and Sero often question why I don't do the same with my income as the symbol of peace. The simple answer is that I prefer the comfort of a modest and not overly expensive living space. It reminds me of the times when I lived with my mother. Plus, I live alone, and an excessively large house would be wasteful. I take the elevator down to the street, and as I start walking, I notice the city awakening to face a new day. Shops I frequent are opening, parents are taking their kids to daycare, and high school students gather to head to their schools. The atmosphere is peaceful, and I slowly form a smile, seeing everyone around me living their lives without worrying about villain attacks. This is why I work so hard every day to keep crime at bay. I'm genuinely content with this tranquility, and I take pride in making Yagi-san and my mother proud, even though they're currently traveling in Europe. I've been walking for nearly an hour and a half, and I check my phone to see it's 7:45. There are 15 minutes until the agency opens, and since I have nothing else to do, I decide to head there early to talk to Emma. That way, I can get back to patrolling quickly. I don't see my friends often after we graduated 2 years ago. Each of us took different paths and started working at various agencies. Occasionally, we meet at gatherings organized by Mina or Momo, but it's not the same as when we lived together at UA. Those were the good old days. Speaking of UA, the recent sports festival showcased students with impressive talents and quirks. As the symbol of peace, I attended the medal ceremony and, of course, documented every quirk I observed. It's a habit I'll keep for life. The first year and second year students were amazing, but the ones who really caught my attention were the third year students, especially 3 students who stood out from the rest. I heard people calling them the Big Three, just like they used to call Kachan, Todoroki, and me when we studied there. One of them was a guy with black hair who had a quirk that allowed him to transform any part of his body into anything he eats. If I remember correctly, his name was Tamaki Imajiki. Another was a talented and strong blonde guy who possessed a powerful but complex quirk that made every part of his body intangible. His name was Mirio Tagata, and Sir Nightai told me he was his disciple. He even mentioned that if I ever considered passing on One for All, Mirio was the best candidate. He's undoubtedly strong and has the spirit to be a great hero, but it's too early for me to decide to give him One for All, considering I'm only 21 years old, and I must be completely sure about who I'll choose. Where was I? Oh, right, the other student was a girl with blue hair who had a quirk that let her manipulate and generate shockwaves. She looked amazing in battle and always had a lively smile on her face, undoubtedly deserving her reputation as one of the strongest in the school. I'm arriving at the agency now, but as I glance at the entrance, I notice a girl with long blue hair who looks very familiar, staring at the door. I approach her and stand by her side, but she doesn't seem to notice my presence. Excuse me. Do you need something? I ask with a small smile, causing her to turn and look at me. Huh? Oh, yeah, I have some business to take care of inside, but it's closed, she initially responds with confusion and then smiles slightly, pointing to the agency's entrance, which has a closed sign behind the glass. I smile and explain, actually, it's open now, but for the first 30 minutes, we put up that sign to keep civilians out while everyone inside gets ready. She nods in interest and says, I feel like I've seen you before. I'm sure of it. I nervously shake my head, hoping she won't recognize me. It's incredible that she can almost see through my incognito disguise. I doubt it. You must be mistaking me for someone else, I reply, hoping she'll believe it. However, her expression suggests that she's not entirely convinced. Are you sure? Why did you get nervous? Are you lying to me? She asks with curiosity, getting closer and invading my personal space. I think I'm starting to remember her. Wait a minute, you're Nejire Hato from Class 3A at UA. I say in surprise, recognizing her as the highly skilled girl I saw at the sports festival. How do you know me? Have we met before? She asks with a small smile, her hands clasped behind her back. Of course, I was the one who gave you the third-place medal at the sports festival, I reply, taking off my cap and glasses. Seconds later, I freeze when I realize the mistake I've made. I've just revealed my identity, and now any civilian could recognize me. Wow, you're Deku, the #1 hero. She exclaims with excitement and a big smile, moving closer. Shh, don't raise your voice, or I'll be in trouble, I tell her in a low voice, holding her shoulders. Why would you be in trouble? Is someone chasing you? Are you on a secret mission? She asked with curiosity written all over her face as she got closer to me, even though I was holding her shoulders. Now that I look closely, she's even more beautiful than I remembered. She has these beautiful, unique blue eyes, and her fair skin adds a more captivating charm now that she's so close to me. But I can't be thinking about this, so I push her away a bit and address her again. I can't be recognized by anyone, or I'll be surrounded and won't be able to carry out my tasks, you understand? I explained calmly, receiving a nod from her. Anyway, let me ask you, what business do you have inside? I asked, intrigued, releasing her shoulders, as it was unusual for a civilian to enter the agency unless they were a family member of an employee. The truth is, they called me to tell me something important, she replied, but her business was still not very clear to me. Who called you? I asked, and she put a hand on her chin, deep in thought. I don't remember their name, she answered, and I smiled with a nervous sweat drop on my neck. Then, she sighed and headed towards the entrance, and I turned to look at Nejire. You said you have business inside, right? Then I'll guide you so you won't get lost, I said with a friendly smile while holding the door open for her to enter first. Thank you so much. That way, I can ask you some questions along the way, right? She asked with an excited, cheerful smile that I couldn't say no to. So, I just nodded, and she entered the agency with the excitement of a little child receiving a gift from her parents. I couldn't help but let out a small laugh at that comparison, and then I entered the building to start guiding her. I casually greeted the receptionists and headed to the elevator with Nejire, who told me her business was on the top floor, which seemed strange because that floor was where Emma's office was, and I was also heading there. However, I didn't think too much of it. During the journey, Nejire bombarded me with a series of questions, barely giving me time to answer. Some were about my life as a symbol of peace, and others were more personal, but I don't like to lie, so I answered truthfully. However, it was a bit strange that she asked about my blood type, birth date, zodiac sign, and phone number. One more question, she said, and I simply nodded, thinking that the agency was too tall for the elevator ride to take this long. Do you have someone special in your life? She asked with a smile, and I made a confused face upon hearing her question for the first time since we got on the elevator. Someone special? I asked, and she explained, someone you really like, to the point of wanting to be with them, not like your parents or a family member, but someone you're attracted to. I replied with a somewhat embarrassed smile, rubbing my neck, well, I don't have anyone like that, actually. My closest relationships are with my friends from UA, but it ends there. Me neither, she said, turning to me with what, to my eyes, was a beautiful, cheerful smile. Why was she so happy saying that? Why do I feel something strange inside me? I would have asked her more questions if it weren't for the elevator doors opening, capturing both my and Nejire's attention. So, let's go. I'll take you to my boss, and you can ask her where you need to go, I said nervously, for some reason that I don't understand, receiving a nod from her. We stepped out of the elevator, and on the way, I greeted my colleagues, some heroes I occasionally run into and others who are office workers responsible for paperwork, finances, and other agency matters. I get along with everyone, as I've been here since the agency was founded almost 3 years ago when Emma wanted to start her own agency and asked me to join her. I was just a rookie hero with offers from various agencies, including SR Naitai and several of Yagi-san's agencies. However, I saw determination and a lot of spirit in Emma's eyes, so I joined her agency, and from there, everything has been on the rise until today, where it's one of the best agencies in all of Japan. Anyway, I guide Nejire to Emma's office, where I open the door for her to enter first, and then I enter and close the door behind me. "Oh, I didn't expect to see you two together," said a female voice from her desk, and both Nejire and I approached her. She's a beautiful girl with long, straight black hair that reaches her waist, with a noticeable scarlet red strand that falls down one side of her face to chest level. She has captivating crimson eyes with small halos around her pupils, and her face has soft and captivating features that make her look attractive. She stands at 1.70 meters tall and, as usual, she's dressed in her office attire, which accentuates her attributes and model-like figure. I've mentioned to her several times that she should wear more appropriate clothes since some coworkers are always captivated by her beauty and figure, but it seems she doesn't care at all because she already has a partner, whom I met 2 years ago and owns his own shop called Paradise. "Hello, Emma, I came as you asked, and I brought this girl named Nejire Hato, who has business to attend to here," I said calmly to Emma, as we had more of a friendship than a boss-employee relationship. "She already knows me, Miss Emma was the one who called me here," Nejire said with an amused smile, while Emma nodded with a small smile and her hands resting on her desk. "It's true, Izuku. I called her for the same reason I called you," Emma said calmly, looking at me, and I showed my confusion on my face because now I was really lost. "So, what do you have to say?" I asked, intrigued, while Nejire and I both looked equally curious. "Do you remember that I told you 2 weeks ago that you'd have a student as a partner for their internship?" Emma asked with a playful smile, and the memory of that conversation we had weeks ago came to my mind. "Yes, it's supposed to be patrolling with me while I teach them how a hero should act," I replied calmly, remembering the internships I went through in various agencies or with Gran Torino when I was in school. "Well, then you'll recall that I launched a big publicity campaign where students from schools across the country could be chosen as your partner through a lottery," she said calmly, and I nodded, well aware that she was known as one of the most influential women in the country, so something like that wasn't difficult for her. "I remember, and I also remember all the chaos that ensued because of that silly lottery, which you eventually cancelled without a winner," I said with a tense smile because I have not so pleasant memories of the media harassment I faced due to that publicity campaign. Emma chuckled along with Nejire, and I just sighed to calm myself. "What does all of this have to do with you calling me today?" I asked, while she stopped laughing to look at me. "The reason I cancelled the lottery was because I found someone who caught your attention at the sports festival, and I knew they had to be your partner, or rather, your partner," Emma said, and I was starting to get an idea of where the conversation was going. Are you saying that?" I began to say, looking at Diana, who nodded, and slowly turned my head towards Nejire, who was looking at me with a radiant and beautiful smile, just like in the elevator. "From now on, I'm your new partner, Izu-kun," Nejire told me, causing me to hear my heart's strong beats, and my eyes widened at this unexpected news. Ara, I didn't know you were already so close. It seems I made a good choice," Emma said playfully, crossing her arms and leaning back in her chair, looking at me mischievously, which made me even more nervous than before. It's not like we're that close, we were just chatting on the way here," I replied, a bit embarrassed, averting my gaze in another direction while scratching my cheek. "So, why did Nejire-chan call you Izu-kun like you're very close?" Emma asked, leaving me at a loss for words because I don't even know the answer to that. "That's because calling him Izuku would be too normal, and I thought Izu-kun sounded good, so when I asked him in the elevator if I could call him that from now on, he said yes," Nejire replied with a smile, raising her hand in the air. I recalled that moment, but honestly, I didn't expect her to be serious about using that name from now on. "Does it bother you, Izu-kun? Do you want me to call you something else?" Nejire asked me with a sweet smile, looking at me, triggering something inside me immediately. "And no, it doesn't bother me at all. Actually, I like it a little," I replied with a nervous smile and a blush on my cheeks. I wasn't sure why I responded to her so sincerely, and this seemed to amuse Emma, who smiled from her desk. "Anyway, even though you've talked before, I want you to introduce yourselves properly," Emma told us, and we both nodded before looking at each other. I'm Nejire Hato, 18 years old, from Class 3A at UA. From now on, I'll be in your care, Izu-kun. Nejire introduced herself with a lovely smile, then energetically bowed with her head down and her hair a bit disheveled when she straightened up, which made me chuckle and smile in amusement. I am Izuku Midoriya, 21 years old, known as the hero Deku, better known as the symbol of peace. It will be a pleasure to teach you about the world of heroes, Hato-san, I responded politely with a friendly smile, and then I made a small bow. You can call me Nejire, Izu-kun, she said with a lovely smile that left me somewhat dumbfounded. I could only nod with a bit of embarrassment. Alright, Nejire-san, I replied, not quite understanding why I was so nervous just saying her name. Did I regress to my school days? With the introductions out of the way, you can now go and change to start patrolling together. I have nothing more to say, Emma told us with an innocent and cheerful smile that gave me a bad feeling. I simply nodded, wishing to leave there as quickly as possible. Nejire left first, humming a tune, and just as I was about to exit, I heard a whistle from Emma, and I turned to look at her, intrigued. Even though you're 18, you need to be subtle when getting close to her, but not too slow. Don't worry about Aizawa, I'll talk to him so he won't bother you if something develops between you two, she said with a conspiratorial smile, winking at me and giving me a thumbs up. Now that I think about it, the offer from SR Nitai to join his agency is still on the table, I said, looking at the ceiling thoughtfully, causing Emma to start sweating with a nervous smile. Keep working hard, Mr. Symbol of Peace, everyone in this agency believes in you, she said, trying to sound friendly. I just let out a small laugh and left her office, knowing that she probably wanted to hit me now. Once I stepped out, I found Nejire looking at me with a smile without saying anything. I couldn't help but ask the reason. What's going on, Nejire-san? Did something happen? I inquired, intrigued, and she turned around, showing me her back. You get along very well with Miss Emma, don't you, Izu-kun? She asked, and I smiled a bit. Well, I've known her for years, and we've worked together to grow the agency, so I can say we're good friends, I replied calmly. Then, she fell silent. I'm not sure what I said to make her react this way, so it's best to change the subject quickly before things get awkward. Go change into your hero costume, and we'll meet at the exit in 15 minutes to start patrolling the city, I said with a small smile, and seconds later, she turned to look at me with a pure expression of excitement, nodding quickly, and then, in the blink of an eye, she started running at high speed towards the dressing room where the hero costumes of all the professionals in the company were kept. I smiled when I saw her excitement, and I headed to the men's changing room to put on my hero suit. Now I'm at the agency's reception, dressed in my hero suit, patiently waiting for Nejire to go patrolling. It surprised me that she would be my partner, but I guess it's nice to have her company. She's a curious, cheerful, and pretty girl. It shouldn't be difficult to work with her. Everyone is easy to get along with compared to Kachan. Here I am, Izu-kun, I hear Nejire's voice, and I turn to see her, only to be left speechless. Her hero suit is, to put it in a way, different for me. It's not the first time I've seen suits that hug girls' figures, like Tsuyu, Uraka, Mina, or Setsuna. I don't get nervous seeing them anymore. But I don't understand why it's different with Nejire. Her suit accentuates her well-formed body, and I dare say it could rival Momo's. In my personal opinion, Nejire even surpasses her in beauty. But I shouldn't be thinking these kinds of things. Are you okay, Izu-kun? Is there something strange about my suit? She asks with curiosity while adjusting her suit, causing me to blush with embarrassment for looking at her that way. And no, not at all. I think you look great. We should get going, I say with a nervous smile and start walking towards the exit quickly. When I reach the door, I glance back to see Nejire still in her spot with a cute smile on her face and slightly blushing cheeks. I hope she's not feeling unwell. Is something wrong, Nejire-chan? I ask, a little concerned, receiving a nod from her. Nothing's wrong. Let's go now. She exclaims with enthusiasm, then approaches me, and we exit through the door. I ponder for a moment on what just happened, but I decide not to dwell on it and leave the agency, both of us patrolling the streets in our hero suits. From that point on, I begin explaining the behavior a hero should exhibit during emergencies or villain attacks. She grasps what I'm saying perfectly and asks many questions, to which I gladly respond. After all, she's committed to learning, and I like that. We encounter several civilians who approach us for photos and autographs. For me, this is normal, but she seems a bit overwhelmed at first due to the large crowds. It seems she didn't realize she was famous because of her performance at the sports festival. Once the people leave us in peace, we continue patrolling calmly, having conversations. I occasionally offer Nejire advice on how to act during a villain attack, and she, in turn, asks me random questions, which I do my best to answer. Lunchtime arrives, and we stop at a katsudon restaurant. People take pictures and whisper things about us, but we pay no attention and eat peacefully. Afterward, we continue patrolling the streets, occasionally encountering other heroes. We continue this way until it gets dark, and luckily, there are no villain attacks. I take her to her home, where we bid goodbye. From there, I continue patrolling on my own until midnight, when I jump to my apartment's terrace. I enter my apartment, take off my hero suit, and end up lying on the floor in my underwear with a smile, reflecting on everything that happened that day. I have a feeling that patrolling will be more entertaining from now on with my new partner. The next day, I repeated my morning routine, exercised, took a shower, had breakfast, and then went to the agency where I met Nejire, and we started walking through the city together. I explained some important things about the job, and she asked questions and spoke cheerfully. It was great that she was so joyful because if she wanted to be a hero, she would have to patrol daily. Her good mood was contagious, and we chatted merrily as we went to different places. This same process continued for 2 weeks. Occasionally, a villain attacked a public area, and both of us easily confronted them. She was incredibly skilled with her quirk called Surge and followed my instructions on how to handle such situations perfectly. Every day, we enjoyed each other's company, and when it was time to part ways, I continued patrolling until midnight, then went back to my apartment to sleep and repeat the process the next day. It was inevitable that the media made our partnership public, often mistaking it for a romantic relationship. They displayed photos taken by civilians showing Nejire and me eating at family restaurants, resting on a park bench watching kids play, and many more situations. At some point, Emma talked to me in her office and made jokes about the situation. I felt embarrassed, and I was relieved that Nejire wasn't there at that moment. I couldn't understand how the media could confuse a working relationship with a romantic one. After 2 weeks of Nejire being my partner, I received an invitation from Mina to attend a gathering of all our friends. For the first time, the invitation mentioned bringing a guest. I was puzzled and called Mina to ask about the reason for having a guest. She replied, "Just bring your partner so we can meet her." It wasn't a bad idea, introducing Nejire to everyone could be fun, and I probably wasn't the only one with a partner, so others might bring theirs too. I picked up my phone and messaged Nejire. Me, hello, Nejire-chan. Nejire, hi, Izu-kun. We finally have a day off tomorrow, fantastic, right? Me, sure, I actually have something to discuss with you regarding that. Nejire, hey, Izu-kun, what do you think about going somewhere tomorrow? Me, actually, I was going to suggest that we go to a gathering with my friends at 7 p.m. Nejire, fantastic. I'll be ready by then. Me, are you sure? Do you have any other commitments? Nejire, not at all. Besides, I'd like to be with you. Me, then I'll pick you up at 7 tomorrow. Nejire, I'll be waiting for you. I put down my phone and found myself staring at the ceiling. For some reason, my heart wouldn't stop beating intensely. I must be looking like a teenager who just asked their crush to a dance, and that's not helping me process what I just did. Nevertheless, within minutes, I couldn't hide the joyful smile that formed on my face. I had no idea why I was in such a good mood just knowing that Nejire had accepted to go with me, but feeling happy isn't a bad thing. I allowed myself to bask in that thought and then fell asleep on my bed. Am I presentable, right? I think to myself. It's probably the 4th time I've asked that question while looking in the mirror. I've spent nearly an hour trying on different outfits, but I haven't been satisfied with any of them. It's something that has never happened to me before, or rather, I've never cared much about being presentable. I'm wearing a checkered shirt with rolled up sleeves over a white shirt, black jeans, and brown leather boots. I decide to stick with this outfit, which seemed appropriate, and I check my phone for the time. 6:55 p.m. From that moment on, I didn't have time to be surprised. I sprinted towards the exit, and just in the nick of time, I took a big leap to head to Nejire's house. I was literally racing against time, moving at high speed, crossing half the city, and finally arriving at my destination, panting a little from exhaustion. I'm now in front of Nejire's house and I lean on my knees before checking the time. 7 p.m. I'm glad you came. I was a bit nervous about whether you'd come or not. I hear my partner's voice, and I lift my head, left speechless. Her long and beautiful blue hair is tied in a wavy ponytail that reaches her waist. She's wearing a black sleeveless blouse, long black gloves that go up past her elbows, a white lace skirt that comes above her knees, and black boots that cover her calves. "You look beautiful," those words escape my lips before I can stop them. I can't even hide my embarrassment anymore as I continue to be captivated by her beauty. "Why, you look great too, Izu-kun," she replied with a sweet smile, her cheeks slightly flushed as she approaches me. "Shall we go?" I ask, offering my right arm with a nervous smile. She nods and wraps her arm around mine. Without further ado, I take a big leap to launch ourselves into the air. Once there, she uses her quirk, Surge, to keep us flying in the direction of our destination, a tactic we've used for chasing villains. Now we're arriving at the terrace Mina rented for the gathering. I can see all my friends chatting animatedly while enjoying punch, and music plays softly in the background. It really does look like a gathering rather than one of Mina's usual chaotic parties. Nejire and I descend slowly, capturing everyone's attention as they focus on us, arriving with our arms entwined. "I told you he'd bring her," Mina exclaims to the others with a victorious smile, while Kaminari, Kirishima, Sero, Ojiro, and Kachan reluctantly hand her money. "Hello, Midoriya-chan. I'm glad you came," Tsuyu says with a small smile as she approaches me. "Hi, Tsuyu-chan. It's been a while since we've seen each other," I respond kindly to my friend. "You must be his new partner, right?" Todoroki asks Nejire, his usual calm self. "Yep. My name is Nejire Hato, and I'm 18. "Nice to meet Izu-kun's friends," Nejire responds with a radiant smile while tilting her head slightly, causing my heart to race again. I avert my gaze with a massive blush on my cheeks. "Wow, they must really be as close as they say," Momo said with a small smile. "And she's really cute." "Midoriya is one lucky guy," Mina added playfully, while Nejire looked confused, and I was dying of embarrassment. "I'd tell you it's inappropriate to be with a student, but since she's of legal age, I'll allow it," Ida said with a stern look, adjusting his glasses as he looked at me. "Anyway, I'm glad you've found someone, Deku-kun," Uraka said with a cheerful smile, "and I just wanted the ground to swallow me and spit me out and roam with Yagi-san and my mother." "Don't think you're better than me just because you have a girl now, Deku. I won't be left behind," Kachan exclaimed with a furrowed brow before boldly taking Mina's hand and leading her to the punch table in front of everyone. Of course, my red-haired friend didn't resist. "Anyway, where are your guests?" "The letter said we should bring one," I asked, trying to move past my previous embarrassment and change the subject. "Mina just wrote that to get you to bring Nejire-san with you," Kirishima replied, scratching his head with a grin, while I remained stunned and incredulous. "Either way, let's have fun, Izu-kun," Nejire said, excited, pulling me toward the dessert table, where we served ourselves punch and chatted leisurely. Some of my friends joined us to catch up and update us on their lives, while others enjoyed the gathering at their own pace. At some point, Nejire led me to the dance floor. Initially, I felt self-conscious being watched by everyone present. However, as I felt Nejire's hands on mine, my nervousness began to fade, and we started dancing joyfully until others joined us. It was undoubtedly the most enjoyable gathering I had attended, maybe because this time I had the right person by my side. 2 more weeks passed, and the gossip about Nejire and me being a couple was no longer trending and slowly fading away, which relieved me because we wouldn't receive as much attention as before. As usual, we continued patrolling the streets and facing villains as a team. I felt great doing all these things with her, and I can't put it into words, but I can assure you that things are better with her. On this particular day, it had been a month since we met and became partners. We were strolling near a crowded square when a sudden explosion from a nearby building caught our attention, and civilians started running away from the scene. I got into a defensive position while Nejire rose into the air, giving instructions to the fleeing civilians. The smoke cleared, revealing a young man with shoulder-length red hair, a black shirt, white pants, and black sneakers. He emitted a red energy aura, and his hair began to stand on end as red lightning surrounded his body. Behind him, several civilians were held hostage by a man who looked like a rhinoceros with biker attire. "Release the civilians immediately," I shouted with seriousness, but none of them responded. The red-haired guy started walking towards me with determination. "It's time to put an end to the symbol of peace," he said with a sinister tone, then launched himself at me with a punch, which I easily caught. But I felt my strength being slowly absorbed. Fighting Magno won't help you. His quirk allows him to absorb the strength of his opponent to make himself stronger, the rhinoceros-like villain explained, casting a hateful look in my direction. I clenched my teeth, kicked Magno away, and created some distance. Nejire-chan, make sure to rescue the hostages while I keep them distracted. I ordered Nejire with seriousness, not looking at her. But I can help you with them, she said, and I shook my head. Do what I told you and make sure to get the civilians to safety, I told her seriously, and she remained silent, holding back what she wanted to say. It's for the best, as I don't want Nejire to get hurt in this encounter. I launched an attack against Magno, who was expecting me, but quickly fainted and headed for the rhinoceros-like villain, who didn't see me coming. I punched him, sending him into a wall. Magno rushed at me, and I dodged him, trying to land a hit, but he managed to stop my punches and slowly absorb more of my energy. I kept creating distance whenever I had a chance and made sure the rhinoceros villain couldn't regain control of the hostages, whom Nejire was evacuating. Magno's speed was increasing while mine was decreasing, and the gap in our strength and abilities was growing wider. The rhinoceros villain headed toward Nejire again, trying to attack her with his guard down, but I immediately charged my arm with 35% power and punched him in the face, breaking his horn and sending him crashing into a building, unconscious. Izu-kun, be careful. Nejire warned me, but it was too late. Magno appeared behind me, grabbing my head with one of his hands, causing me intense pain. Ah! I screamed in pain as I gradually lost strength, and my chances of defending myself dwindled. Fortunately, Nejire struck Magno with a concentrated air current, sending him crashing into the fountain in the square. I was left on the ground, propped up on my hands, panting from exhaustion. Are you okay, Izu-kun? Nejire asked, coming to my side with concern. I did my best to get to my feet and look at her. Go as far as you can and make sure the reinforcements protect the civilians, I told her wearily, and she frowned. It was the first time I had seen her with that expression. Let me fight by your side as we always do, Izu-kun. You know you need me, she said firmly, but I couldn't back down. I don't need you to defeat him. I can manage on my own now that there are no civilians around, I replied as I got into a defensive stance and activated the highest percentage of one for all I could after Magno had absorbed so much of my energy. 35%. Therefore, he must have the strength of 65% of one for all, making this a difficult battle. Let me help you, or they'll hurt you more, she yelled with clenched fists, and I grabbed her shoulders. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you by my side because I don't want to see you injured due to my weakness, I shouted, and she was left speechless. It was the first time I had raised my voice to her. So please, do me a favor and get to safety. I couldn't bear it if something happened to you, I asked more gently as I looked at the ground. Magno quickly arrived at our side, and with no time to lose, I threw Nejire into the air, then began exchanging blows with the red-haired villain who moved more gracefully than me, with barely a scratch on his clothes. I struggled to barely dodge his kicks and punches, trying to land a hit on his back to prevent him from gripping me with his palms. I pushed myself harder, but my strength continued to wane. I absorbed enough to weaken you without even touching you, you just have to be near me, he said with a serious expression, then delivered a powerful right hook to my abdomen, knocking the wind out of me and causing me to spit out blood as he sent me crashing through a building. Izu-kun. I heard Nejire's cry echoing in my ears as I remained dazed, with the excruciating pain in my back radiating through my arms and legs. I struggled to get up from the debris beneath me, making every effort to take one step at a time to return to the square where Magno was. When I reached the scene, I saw Nejire attacking Magno with shockwaves while gritting her teeth with anger and tears welling up in her eyes. It hurt to see her like this, filled me with rage, not just against Magno, who was the cause of all this, but primarily against myself for not preventing Nejire from being in this situation. If only I had gone with 100% from the start, this wouldn't be happening. One for all, full cowl 100%, I exclaimed with anger in my expression, filling my entire body with power, capturing Magno's and Nejire's attention. She turned to look at me, incredulous, and I couldn't understand how I could activate 100%. The only conclusion I could draw was that it was due to my anger. It's clear you're eager to give me more power, symbol of peace, Magno said seriously as he focused on me and got into a defensive stance. I won't let you do as you please, threatening the safety of the innocent or my partner, I told him as I began walking toward him, the tension in the air escalating around me. Everything's okay now. Because I am here, I shouted with strength, then launched myself toward him, charging my right arm as he prepared to catch it and absorb my strength. Smash, I yelled as I transferred all my power to my left arm at the last moment, delivering an uppercut to his jaw that caused time to momentarily stand still. A resounding impact rippled through the area, sending Magno soaring into the sky, disappearing from sight. I felt weaker than ever, remaining on my feet solely because my feet were embedded in the concrete after the impact. But slowly, I felt my strength returning to me. Perhaps when Magno was defeated, the power he had stolen would return to its rightful owner. I turned to where Nejire had been but couldn't find her. I was about to look in other directions when I was tackled and sent to the ground by my partner, who landed on top of me with her hands gripping the collar of my hero costume, which was seriously torn and destroyed. "Don't ever do that to me again," she scolded me, a few tears escaping her eyes and falling onto my cheeks. "I was worried about you, and I couldn't help you." "It really hurt," she continued, a lump forming in my throat as I saw her like this. "You mean a lot to me. I didn't want you to get hurt, and that's why I wanted you to stay away," I told her with a faint, sad smile, knowing it would be difficult for her to forgive me. "But I'm your partner, right? I'm supposed to fight by your side to help you," she said with a quivering voice as she rested her forehead on my chest, more tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're right. I was wrong to try to do it alone," I said kindly, causing her to raise her gaze to look at me. "But I couldn't bear to see the girl I care about get hurt," I added with a painful yet happy smile, finally realizing my feelings for my partner. "Izu-kun," she said, surprised, her cheeks flushed. I raise myself with my elbows and then bring my right hand to her cheek to wipe away her tears. "I promise to become strong enough so that my special someone doesn't have to worry about me," I told her confidently and gently, and she smiles as she listens. "That's not going to happen. I'm the one who has to become strong so that you're not carrying everything alone," she said kindly, placing her hand on mine. "Because it's obvious that I'm going to worry about my special someone, Izu-kun," she added, causing me to be surprised, and my heart to race a mile a minute. Does that mean you?" I tried to ask her, and she smiled playfully. "I thought you had already figured it out," she said with a beautiful smile, and immediately an immense joy filled me. "I'm a bit slow with these things," I replied with a nervous smile, and then she held onto my torso in a hug, and I reciprocated as best as I could. After that, reinforcements arrived at the scene to chain up the rhinoceros-like villain, and civilians began to gather, applauding and taking photos of Nejire and me, who remained in each other's arms. Honestly, I didn't care about that anymore, I just focused on enjoying this moment. Minutes later, we separated, and she helped me get up and took me to the paramedics to attend to the injuries I sustained during the battle. It was certainly a peculiar way to mark the month since we met, and Nejire started joking about it, making me laugh. After that incident, things didn't change much between us. We continued to have a great time while patrolling, and luckily, there was no other incident against villains of the same magnitude as before. Of course, the gossip about us being a couple gained momentum again, although in reality, we never formalized anything despite being aware of our feelings. Perhaps it was because we didn't consider it necessary, or simply because there was no need to discuss it. Undoubtedly, we were already in a good place, and that's why we didn't dwell on the matter. At some point, I started receiving many calls from my mother and Yagi-san during their trip, interrogating me about the news of our relationship since the gossip had reached them. I responded to them with complete honesty and told them how I felt about her. My mother seemed to cry tears of joy on the other end of the line, and Yagi-san congratulated me, while I felt somewhat embarrassed by my mother's constant comments about introducing her, planning a future wedding, and the number of grandchildren she wanted. Of course, my mentor took the opportunity to play along with my mother and embarrass me even more. In the end, 6 months passed since Nejire became my partner, and it was the end of her internship. That's why I'm in Emma's office, gazing at the entrance, waiting for Nejire to come and say goodbye. "You know she won't appear any faster just because you're staring at the door, right?" Emma asked with a playful and somewhat teasing tone. "Of course, I know. The thing is, I don't want her to come," I replied without turning to look at her. "So, what's happening is that you don't want her to say goodbye, hoping she'll stay with you for a longer time," my boss told me. I, on the other hand, pondered mentally how she could know what I was thinking so easily. "Maybe your quirk allows you to read minds," I said, turning to look at her, theorizing about her quirk ability, which I never got to know. "Don't be silly, I've told you a million times I don't have a quirk like that," she said, amused, then started playing with her long scarlet strand of hair. "Excuse me." I hear Nejire's voice, and I turn my head towards the entrance to see her entering, as cheerful as ever. "Welcome, Nejire-chan, we were waiting for you," Emma greeted her kindly, while I could only look at her without being able to say anything. I don't know what to say, whether to say goodbye, ask her to extend her internship, or make a random joke to lighten the mood. "Good morning, Izu-kun. It seems my time as your temporary partner is over," she said, smiling and looking as beautiful as ever. I couldn't process why she seemed so at ease with the situation. I guess it's true, you did an amazing job, I said, forcing a smile on my face, as I continued to debate internally how to handle her departure. Let's get straight to the matter at hand, please take a seat, Emma said to Nejire and me, and without further ado, we both sat in the 2 chairs in front of her desk. Today, your internship at this agency ends, right, Nejire-chan? She said to the blue-haired girl beside me, and Nejire happily nodded in response. Yes, I really had a great time, and everyone was so kind to me. I appreciate all your support, Nejire replied, her hands in her lap, then she politely inclined her head. I couldn't help but smile when I saw her, even though I knew I would be left alone. Do you have anything to say to Nejire-chan as her mentor, Izuku? Emma asked me with a sideways smile, while I was left speechless, with nothing on my mind, and Nejire focused her beautiful blue eyes on me. Well, there's nothing more I can teach you, the rest, you'll have to learn on your own, living through your own experiences and learning from your mistakes, I said, trying to offer professional advice, as I had received from Yagi-san, aka All Might, when I was his disciple until today. Is that all? Isn't there anything else, Izu-kun? She asked with the same smile that was killing me inside. I'm going to miss you a lot, Nejire-chan, I finally said what I wanted to say, and both she and Emma paid attention. The days I spent with you were honestly the best I've had since I became a professional. You added flavor to each day, and anything routine became exciting with you. I'm honestly going to miss you, I said, speaking from the heart, as I watched Nejire's cheeks turn red. I'm happy you said that, Izu-kun, but it's not like we won't see each other again in a week, Nejire said, smiling, and I showed my confusion. What? What are you talking about? I asked sincerely puzzled, and she laughed, amused. Did I say something funny? It seems you forgot, Izuku, Emma said, capturing my attention, and I looked at her, intrigued. Today, we're saying goodbye to Nejire as a temporary intern at our company because next week is her graduation. After that, she'll be considered a hero, and I'll hire her as a full-fledged member of our agency. Those words made me remember when Nejire told me that a month ago, and I immediately felt my heart beating rapidly, and an indescribable feeling of happiness filled me. I slowly turned my gaze to Nejire, who smiled at me as dazzlingly as ever while placing her 2 hands on mine, which were on the back of the chair. Will you come to my graduation, Izu-kun? She asked with a slight blush on her cheeks, and I couldn't help but curve my lips into a big smile. Of course. I replied enthusiastically, and then, in a moment, I felt something warm and soft on my left cheek. Nejire had just given me a kiss and then smiled at me with even redder cheeks than before. I immediately turned red from nervousness and began to babble incoherent things, much to the amusement of Emma and Nejire, who started laughing at my reaction. A week later, I attended her graduation where it seemed to be my turn to give out the diplomas along with Director Nezu and Aizawa-san, who seemed to approve of my relationship with Nejire. The moment came to give Nejire her diploma, and when I handed it to her, she smiled and winked at me. I just looked away, feeling embarrassed, hoping the photographers didn't capture that moment of the embarrassed peace symbol, but of course, Hisashi-san had to take a photo of me with my embarrassed face and Nejire's beautiful smile while making the peace symbol with one hand. But I still cherish that photo. There were many applause and speeches that day, and as a symbol of peace, it was my turn to give a speech to the future heroes, which felt a bit strange considering I'm only 22 and I sounded like an old man, even though we're only a few years apart. In the end, the event ended, and Nejire messaged me to meet her at a sakura tree on the academy campus. I headed there and waited patiently for a few minutes until I saw her approaching in her school uniform. I've graduated, Izu-kun, she said, holding her diploma in the air, and I smiled playfully. I know, I'm the one who gave you the diploma, I replied, and she just shrugged innocently as she got closer. Now I'm a hero, just like you. Isn't that exciting? She asked, and I nodded in response. Remember, you still need more experience to become a great hero. Until then, I'll be supporting you, I said kindly, and she pouted in an adorable way. I want you to support me for a long time, Izu-kun, she said, and I looked intrigued. For how long? I asked, as the breeze made some pink leaves fall around us. After that, she launched herself at me, placing her hands on my chest, and then her lips met mine, surprising me. Eventually, I kissed her back and held her in my arms, sharing our love through that warm and passionate kiss. After a couple of minutes, we pulled apart to catch our breath, and I looked at Nejire, who had a beautiful expression on her face. How about forever? She asked, and I just smiled affectionately while gently stroking her hair. That sounds good to me, I replied. After that, she squealed with excitement and kissed me again. Luckily, we were in a secluded spot with no onlookers. Another week passed since Nejire's graduation, during which we talked on the phone while I patrolled, and she began her journey as a hero, making arrangements with her parents to move to an apartment and complete her move. I'm currently standing right in front of the agency, wearing my hero costume, looking in different directions, patiently waiting for Nejire to arrive. Today is the day she officially starts working as a professional at the agency. I feel a cool breeze on my neck, and before I can react, I sense two legs landing on my shoulders, and hands resting on my head. Excuse me, do you need something? Asks a beautiful girl with blue hair, sitting on my shoulders. I look up to see her beautiful smile. Yes, I have some business with the new hero working at this agency, I reply with a smile, playing along with Nejire. And what exactly do you have to do with her? She asks, and I playfully wink at her. I wanted to wish her a happy first day and propose that we patrol the city together. Do you think she'll accept? I say, and she looks thoughtfully at the sky and touches her chin with one hand. Of course. Let's go right now. Nejire responds with excitement, and I chuckle. Don't you think it would be better to check in with Emma first? I ask, and she shakes her head. Nah, she told me yesterday that she'd be with her boyfriend today, she replies, surprising me. Since when are you two so close? I ask, genuinely incredulous, as I haven't seen them interact much. What are you doing tomorrow? She asks innocently, completely ignoring my question. I sigh with a smile and then look at her. Well, my mom and Yagi-san told me to invite you to have dinner with us. How does that sound? I ask, and she gets off my shoulders, taking my hand as we walk side by side. Do you think you're moving too fast with the newbie? She jokes, and I can't hold back any longer and steal a quick but affectionate kiss. Maybe, but you're my partner, right? I ask, and she shows me her radiant and beautiful smile that always drives me crazy. Forever, Izu-kun. She replies, tightening her grip on my hand, and I reciprocate in the same way. We then both start our first day of patrolling together, just like we've done for months, but now our relationship is official, and we have no doubt that we share the same feelings for each other. The events that followed are too long to describe. What I can say is that I'm currently looking to buy a spacious house that can accommodate a married couple, 2 5-year-old girls, their 3-year-old brother, and the new addition that's on the way. My days of living in the routine of my apartment have ended to welcome a life as a symbol of peace and as a family man. Who would have thought that my wife and life partner would be the cause of it all? She's currently playing with our children. End of chapter.